Earth bans the Galactic Empire. You are not welcome here. HFY Sci-Fi Story Part 1. First Contact. John Miller rubbed his tired eyes and stared at the monitor again. The signal patterns hadn't changed. For 3 days straight, the unusual frequencies had been streaming in from deep space, well beyond Pluto's orbit. As NASA's lead signal analyst, he'd seen plenty of cosmic noise, but nothing like this. "Hey, Sam, take a look at this," John called to his colleague. "These patterns are repeating too precisely to be natural." Sam wheeled her chair over and squinted at the screen. "You think it's artificial?" John nodded slowly. "I think we need to call Washington." Within hours, observatories around the world confirmed the signal. Within days, the source was visibly approaching Earth at impossible speeds. The world's government scrambled to prepare for humanity's first contact with alien life. No one expected the massive ship that suddenly appeared in Earth orbit on a cloudy Tuesday morning. Global communications networks crashed as the vessel, nearly 5 miles long, positioned itself above the North Atlantic. Fighter jets scrambled worldwide, but military leaders quickly realized the futility of any aggressive action. This technology was centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. The first transmission came directly to every electronic device on the planet simultaneously. People of Earth. I am Ambassador Vora of the Galactic Empire. Your world has been cataloged as System G19472, suitable for integration. Prepare your leaders for immediate diplomatic relations. Lisa Washington, recently appointed UN Secretary General, found herself suddenly thrust into the role of humanity's representative. As emergency sessions convened in New York, strange shuttlecraft descended to land on the UN Plaza. "They didn't even ask permission," muttered Paul Garcia, the newly appointed head of the hastily assembled Earth Defense Coalition. Not a good sign. Ambassador Vora emerged from the shuttle, tall, vaguely humanoid, with iridescent blue skin and 4 arms. 2 junior diplomats flanked the ambassador, carrying ornate devices that projected holographic displays. "Secretary, Washington," the ambassador said through a translation device. "The Empire welcomes your world to our grand civilization spanning over 20,000 systems. Your integration will proceed smoothly if you cooperate fully." Lisa maintained her composure. "We welcome peaceful contact, Ambassador, but we have many questions before any integration can be discussed." The ambassador's expression was unreadable. "Of course, all new worlds require orientation. The Empire brings prosperity through efficient resource management." Over the next 48 hours, Earth's representatives learned the truth behind those carefully chosen words. Holographic displays showed dozens of worlds transformed by Imperial management. Forests stripped, oceans drained, mountains leveled, all in the name of fueling the Empire's endless expansion. "Your world has exceptional biodiversity and water resources," Vora explained casually. "Most valuable. The Empire will compensate you with technological improvements and protection." Kate Nelson, Earth's leading environmental scientist, studied the images with growing horror. "They've stripped these planets bare," she whispered to Lisa. "They're not allies. They're locusts." Lisa nodded almost imperceptibly, then addressed the ambassador. "We'll need time to consider your proposal and consult with all Earth nations." "Of course," Vora replied smoothly. "The Empire is generous. You have 1 Earth week to prepare for preliminary integration protocols." After the Imperial delegation departed, the UN Security Council met in emergency session. Intelligence agencies had intercepted Imperial communications, revealing plans far more extensive than publicly stated. "They plan to strip mine our oceans," General Alan Martinez reported grimly. "Their internal communications call Earth a resource-rich primitive world, ripe for exploitation." Lisa Washington stood at the center of the chamber, her face resolute. "Then we have 1 week to prepare our response. Humanity has faced existential threats before, but never like this." As the Imperial ship loomed overhead, Earth's governments began quietly preparing for something unprecedented. a unified stand against an overwhelmingly powerful cosmic empire. For the first time in human history, the nations of Earth were truly united by a common threat. The countdown had begun. Earth bans the Galactic Empire. You are not welcome here. HFY Sci-Fi Story, Part 2. The assessment. The Empire's survey teams arrived in sleek shuttles that descended to various points around the globe. They moved with practiced efficiency, setting up scanning equipment that hummed with strange energies. Humans watched nervously as the aliens collected soil samples, analyzed water sources, and cataloged plant and animal species. Paul Garcia organized a global network to monitor the alien activities. Don't interfere with them, he instructed the volunteer observers. Just document everything they do and report back. The reports painted a disturbing picture. The Imperial scientists showed particular interest in the Amazon rainforest, the Great Barrier Reef, and the deep ocean trenches. They measured, sampled, and mapped with cold precision. They're making a shopping list, Kate Nelson said during an emergency briefing. I've analyzed their scanning patterns. They're identifying extraction points for maximum resource yield. At Imperial headquarters established in Geneva, Ambassador Zixivora hosted Earth's delegation for what they called a technological assessment review. The meeting room hummed with holographic displays showing Earth's infrastructure, power grids, and manufacturing capabilities. Your civilization has achieved rudimentary electronic computation and basic space travel, an Imperial science officer named Dren Vox stated flatly. Primitive but salvageable. Your nuclear technologies will need immediate supervision. Lisa Washington maintained her diplomatic smile. We're quite proud of our technological progress, especially considering our independent development. Dren Vox made a dismissive gesture with his lower arms. All developing worlds believe their path unique, Secretary Washington. The Empire has integrated thousands. The process is well established. That evening, as Earth's delegation returned to their secured facility, Lisa's assistant slipped her a data drive. Our tech team intercepted and decoded more of their communications, she whispered. The decoded messages revealed the Empire's true assessment. Earth's technology was considered primitive, but its water, minerals, and biodiversity were labeled premium grade and high priority acquisition. One message from Admiral Kelthor to the Imperial capital stated, planet's resistance capabilities minimal. Recommend standard integration protocols with accelerated resource extraction timeline. Meanwhile, Jeff Bradley, a computer scientist who had been analyzing Imperial technology, made a breakthrough. Their systems are advanced but predictable, he explained to the Earth Defense Coalition. They use standardized protocols across their fleet. If we can crack one system, we potentially have access to many. The cultural exchange events revealed even more about the Empire. When asked about their philosophy toward developing worlds, an Imperial cultural attaché explained their perspective with unsettling honesty. The Empire brings order to chaos, she stated. Primitive worlds waste resources through inefficient use. We optimize and distribute according to Imperial needs. It is the natural order. The advanced guide the developing. Across Earth, governments quietly prepared. Military satellites were repositioned. Secret bunkers were stocked. Scientists worked frantically to understand the alien technology. Kate Nelson's team compiled a devastating report on the Empire's environmental impact on other worlds. The images showed once beautiful planets transformed into barren wastelands, oceans reduced to mudflats, forests replaced by vast mining pits. This isn't integration, Kate said as she presented her findings to the UN Security Council. It's systematic planetary destruction. As the assessment week continued, Imperial representatives grew increasingly frustrated with Earth's diplomatic delays. Zixvora's demands for access to additional territories were met with polite excuses and bureaucratic complications. Yurhan D. Cooperation has been insufficient, the ambassador told Lisa during their 5th meeting. The Emperor grows impatient. Integration is not optional. Lisa's expression remained neutral. We simply want to ensure the best outcome for both parties, Ambassador. Surely the Empire understands the value of thorough preparation? Behind the scenes, Earth's nations had made a decision unprecedented in human history. As Imperial shuttles continued their survey work, humanity prepared its response to the stars. The Empire believed they were assessing Earth. They didn't realize Earth was assessing them too. Earth bans the Galactic Empire. You are not welcome here. HFY Sci-Fi Story Part 3. The Ultimatum. The holographic image of Emperor Druvkar dominated the United Nations General Assembly Hall. Standing 15 feet tall, his forearms crossed, in what humans were learning was a gesture of supreme authority. The Emperor's scaled skin glimmered with embedded jewels that signified his rank. People of Earth, his voice boomed through the translation systems. Your assessment period has concluded. The Galactic Empire formally welcomes you to our civilization. Integration will commence immediately. Lisa Washington stood at the podium, appearing tiny compared to the towering hologram. Emperor Druvkar, we appreciate your interest in Earth. However, we require additional time to consider your proposal. The Emperor's upper eyes narrowed. This is not a proposal, Secretary Washington. It is an imperial decree. Resistance would be unfortunate. As the Emperor's image faded, the assembly erupted in worried conversations. Susan Richards, head of Earth's diplomatic corps, approached Lisa. That wasn't a negotiation. That was an ultimatum. Within hours, military satellites detected movement at the edge of the solar system. A fleet of Imperial ships had arrived, positioning themselves in a formation that astronomers recognized as a blockade. General Alan Martinez presented the situation to the Emergency Council. They've brought 27 warships. Based on what we've learned about their weapons capabilities, each one could devastate a continent. Are they bluffing? Asked one of the council members. Dr. William Foster, who led the scientific analysis team, shook his head. We've studied their historical records. The Empire has destroyed civilizations that refused integration. They call it clearing developmental obstacles. In laboratories around the world, scientists worked frantically to understand the technology they had gleaned from observing the Imperial survey teams. Jeff Bradley's team made key breakthroughs in deciphering Imperial communications encryption. We can listen in on most of their tactical channels now, he reported. They're discussing deployment positions for what they call pacification forces. Lisa called for a closed-door session of the UN Security Council. Representatives from every nation gathered to make the most important decision in human history. The Empire has integrated hundreds of worlds, Susan Richards explained, displaying images obtained from Imperial databases. In each case, the pattern is the same. They extract resources until the planet is depleted, then move on. Kate Nelson presented environmental impact assessments. These worlds were once like Earth. Now they're hollow shells. The Empire calls this efficient resource management. The Council debated through the night. Some argued for surrender, hoping to negotiate better terms from within. Others insisted on immediate resistance, despite the overwhelming odds. At dawn, a consensus emerged. Earth would take a stand. As preparations continued, Imperial shuttles landed in major cities worldwide. Commander Krelthos, the military leader of the integration force, arrived in New York to meet with Earth's representatives. Your decision time has ended, he stated flatly. The Emperor requires your formal acceptance of Imperial authority. Resistance would result in unnecessary suffering. Lisa handed him a sealed document. This is Earth's unified response. Krelthos broke the seal and read the single-page declaration. His expression shifted from confidence to disbelief. This is rejection? You cannot reject the Empire. No world does this. We just did, Lisa replied simply. Krelthos's voice turned cold. Then you have chosen punishment. Our battle fleet will demonstrate the cost of defiance. As the Imperial representatives departed, Earth's military forces moved to high alert. The Global Defense Network, hastily enhanced with adapted alien technology, activated silently. General Martinez watched the Imperial ships on the tactical display. They're moving into attack formation. First wave estimated to reach Earth orbit in 6 hours. Lisa Washington stood at the window of the UN building, looking up at the sky where soon battle would begin. So it begins, she said quietly. Humanity's first interstellar war. Behind her, the world prepared for a fight that would determine whether Earth would remain free or become just another depleted world in the Empire's long history of conquest. Earth bans the Galactic Empire. You are not welcome here. HFY Sci-Fi. Story Part 4. The Declaration. The skies above every major city on Earth filled with massive displays as humanity made its stand. The combined broadcasting power of every nation projected a single message to the Imperial fleet approaching from beyond the moon. To the Galactic Empire, Lisa Washington's voice rang out, transmitted in both human languages and the Imperial standard. Earth has made its decision. Our world is now closed to Imperial vessels, personnel, and influence. You are banned from approaching within lunar orbit. This is not a negotiation. You are not welcome here. The message repeated on all frequencies, accompanied by a simple visual, Earth surrounded by a red boundary line at lunar distance. Aboard the Imperial flagship, Commander Krelthos watched the broadcast with a mixture of amusement and disbelief. They draw lines in space, he said to his officers, as if declarations from primitives hold meaning to the Empire. His second-in-command studied the tactical displays. Sir, they've deployed some kind of satellite network around their planet. Primitive defensive measures according to our scans. Krelthos dismissed the information with a wave. Their technology is centuries behind ours. These are the desperate actions of a doomed world. Back on Earth, an unprecedented level of global cooperation transformed the planet. Military forces merged under unified command. Scientists shared breakthroughs without reservation. Factory lines retooled to produce components for planetary defense. Daniel Carter led the technological adaptation team, working around the clock to apply concepts gleaned from Imperial technology. They think we're primitive because we haven't had their advantages, Daniel explained to the Joint Military Command. But humans are uniquely good at taking ideas and running with them. His team had analyzed the Imperial scanner technology and discovered principles that could be rapidly adapted to Earth's existing satellite network. What emerged wasn't a copy of Imperial technology, but something uniquely human, a hybrid system that used Earth's existing infrastructure in ways the Empire never anticipated. It's not as advanced as theirs, Daniel admitted, but it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be surprising. As the Imperial fleet approached, the people of Earth watched news reports with a mixture of fear and determination. For the first time in history, humans weren't fighting each other, but standing together against an external threat. Street interviews showed everyday people expressing unexpected resolve. Maybe we can't win, said a shopkeeper in Mumbai, but we won't be conquered without a fight. A farmer in Kenya looked directly into the camera. This is our home, not theirs to take. The Imperial fleet reached the lunar boundary. Commander Krelthos sent a final message. Your declaration is acknowledged and rejected. The Empire goes where it wishes. Prepare for disciplinary action. The first Imperial warship crossed the boundary line. Earth held its breath. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a command center built in just 7 days, General Martinez gave the order. Activate the shield. Around the world, power stations diverted massive energy to the newly modified satellite network. The technology Daniel's team had created wasn't a weapon. It was something the Empire had never encountered before. A wave of energy rippled outward from Earth, invisible except where it intersected with the lead Imperial ship. There, space itself seemed to bend and twist. The massive vessel slowed, then stopped, caught in what looked like rippling water. On the Imperial bridge, alarms blared. What is happening? Demanded Krelthos. What primitive technology is this? Unknown, Commander, his science officer replied, genuine fear in his voice. It's affecting our drive systems in ways our sensors cannot explain. The commander stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Impossible. They cannot have such technology. As the first ship struggled, Earth's message repeated, "You are not welcome here." In orbit, the hybrid shield system continued to expand, a uniquely human adaptation of concepts the Empire thought beyond Earth's understanding. The Imperial advance halted as commanders faced something they had never expected, a primitive world with the will and means to defend itself. The declaration was made, the line was drawn, and Earth prepared for the Empire's response. Earth bans the Galactic Empire. You are not welcome here. HFY Sci-Fi Story, Part 5. The Engagement Commander. Krelthos pounded his control panel with a lower fist. 3 hours of attempting to breach Earth's unexpected defense system had yielded nothing but frustration. "This is unacceptable," he snarled. "No primitive world has the right to resist the Empire. Prepare the full battle fleet for coordinated assault." The Imperial fleet regrouped beyond lunar orbit. 26 warships formed a precise attack formation, their weapon systems charging with ominous energy signatures. "Let the humans witness true Imperial power," Krelthos broadcast to his captains. "Commence disciplinary action." On Earth, the Unified Defense Command tracked the Imperial movements. Major Nicole West, formerly of the U.S. Space Force and now commander of Earth's Orbital Defense Initiative, watched the tactical display with steady eyes. "They're coming in formation," she reported. "All ships, all weapons. This is no longer a show of force. They intend to overwhelm us." General Martinez nodded grimly. "Activate Defense Plan Delta, and may God help us all." As the Imperial fleet advanced, they expected Earth's strange shield to be their only obstacle. They were wrong. From hidden positions throughout the asteroid belt, small unmanned vessels built in secret during the assessment period launched toward the Imperial formation. Too small to register as threats on Imperial scanners, these craft carried payloads designed by Daniel Carter's team. The first wave of Imperial ships hit Earth's shield barrier. This time, they pushed through with concentrated force, the shield rippling but beginning to fail under their combined power. "Shield integrity at 60% and falling," reported a technician in the Mountain Command Center. Nicole West remained calm. "Hold positions. Wait for optimal engagement range." When the Imperial ships reached the calculated position, she gave the order, "Activate countermeasures. Now." The small Earth vessels detonated, releasing electromagnetic pulses specifically calibrated to the frequencies used by Imperial systems. The pulses weren't powerful enough to disable the massive warships completely, but they didn't need to be. Aboard the Imperial flagship, systems flickered. "Minor disruption," the tactical officer reported. "Some weapons systems temporarily offline. Recalibrating." Krelthos dismissed the setback. "Continue advance. Their primitive attacks merely delay." His words cut off as the second phase of Earth's defense revealed itself. Hidden beneath the lunar surface, installation teams had worked frantically to modify the mining equipment abandoned by Imperial survey teams. Now these machines emerged, reconfigured into weapons that the Empire had inadvertently helped create. Beams of concentrated energy, based on Imperial mining technology but modified with human ingenuity, struck the lead warships. The Imperial vessels' shields, calibrated to stop known weapons, failed to recognize the hybrid technology. "Impossible," shouted Krelthos as damage reports flooded in. "These are not standard weapons." In the asteroid belt, Earth's first true space fighters emerged from hiding. Small agile craft piloted by volunteers from air forces around the world engaged the disoriented Imperial ships using hit-and-run tactics. "Target their sensor arrays," Nicole West instructed the fighter squadrons. "Don't try to destroy them. Just blind them." The Earth fighters darted between massive Imperial vessels, firing precisely at vulnerable points identified during the assessment period. They couldn't match Imperial firepower, but they didn't need to. They just needed to create confusion. Admiral Jax Vur, watching from the Imperial secondary command ship, could not believe what he was seeing. How are these primitives coordinating such an attack? This is impossible. One Imperial cruiser, its navigation systems compromised, collided with another. Both ships spun out of formation, their captain struggling to regain control. 3 hours into the battle, the unthinkable happened. An Imperial scout ship, disabled by the combined effects of Earth's countermeasures, drifted powerless. Earth, retrieval teams using adapted shuttlecraft, captured the vessel and its crew, the first Imperial prisoners ever taken by a primitive world. As the battle continued, news of Earth's unexpected resistance spread through Imperial communications channels. On a dozen subjugated worlds, populations followed the battle with growing hope. The Empire had come expecting easy victory. Instead, they found a united planet that refused to surrender without a fight. Earth bans the Galactic Empire. You are not welcome here. HFY Sci-Fi Story Part 6, The Counterstrike In. The 2 weeks following the Empire's failed assault, Earth worked feverishly. Engineers studied the captured Imperial scout ship, learning more about Imperial technology than they had during the entire assessment period. The Imperial prisoners, stunned by their captivity, provided additional insights through careful questioning. Their ships can travel faster than light by creating artificial wormholes, Daniel Carter explained to the Unified Command. We can't replicate that technology yet, but we understand the principles now. In orbiting shipyards built from repurposed space stations, Earth prepared something the Empire would never expect: an offensive force. The Imperial commanders believe we can only defend, said General Martinez. They think we lack the capability to strike beyond our own solar system. That's our advantage. Earth's first deep space vessel, the Defiance, represented humanity's greatest technological achievement. Built around a modified Imperial engine salvaged from the scout ship, the vessel combined Earth engineering with adapted Imperial technology. It wasn't as powerful as an Imperial warship, but it had something unique: human ingenuity. Captain Ryan Cooper stood on the bridge of the Defiance, looking at his crew of 70 volunteers from nations around the world. What we do today will change humanity's future forever, he told them. We're taking the fight to them. The plan was bold, perhaps reckless. While Earth's defenses held the Imperial fleet at bay near lunar orbit, the Defiance would slip past them using a trajectory that kept the moon between them and Imperial sensors. Once clear of the solar system, they would make for the nearest Imperial outpost identified from the navigational data of the captured scout ship. Laura Bennett, Earth's foremost xenopsychologist, had helped develop the mission's psychological strategy. The Empire's entire society is built on strict hierarchy, she explained at the final briefing. They cannot conceive of a lesser species challenging them directly. Your appearance at their outpost will create confusion we can exploit. As the Defiance prepared to depart, Imperial forces continued their frustrated attempts to breach Earth's defenses. Admiral Jaxvoor had replaced the disgraced Commander Krelthos, bringing new tactical approaches but facing the same stubborn resistance. These humans adapt too quickly, Jaxvoor complained to the Imperial High Command. Every strategy we employ is countered within hours. The Defiance launched silently, its modified engines leaving minimal energy signatures. As predicted, the Imperial fleet didn't detect the small vessel slipping past their blockade. Captain Cooper addressed his crew as they prepared for their first faster-than-light jump. We're about to go farther than any humans have ever traveled. Whatever happens next, remember, we represent all of Earth. The jump was disorienting but successful. When the Defiance emerged, the crew found themselves in an unknown star system, orbiting a gas giant with multiple moons. On one of those moons sat the Imperial outpost, a refueling and communication station with minimal defenses. They're not expecting visitors, said the tactical officer, especially not from Earth. The Defiance approached openly, broadcasting a simple message. Attention, Imperial outpost. We bring greetings from Earth. The resulting confusion gave the Earth vessel the advantage it needed. Before the outpost could mount an effective response, the Defiance deployed its boarding teams. Their mission wasn't destruction, but connection. On the outpost, they found not just Imperial personnel, but representatives of 3 other species, all servants of the Empire, all from worlds that had been integrated against their will. We come offering alliance, not conquest, Ryan told the stunned aliens. "Earth fights for its freedom. We believe you deserve the same." The concept was revolutionary. In the Empire's long history, no subject species had ever returned to offer liberation to others. The outpost commanders surrendered without resistance, too shocked to fight. As Earth forces secured the outpost, they discovered something invaluable: access to the Imperial communications network. Within hours, news of Earth's counterstrike spread throughout nearby systems. On a dozen worlds suffering under Imperial rule, populations heard the unthinkable. A primitive planet had not only resisted the Empire but had struck back. Earth's message was simple but powerful. You are not alone. Together, we can be free. The first interstellar alliance against Imperial rule was born, sparked by a planet the Empire had gravely underestimated. Earth bans the Galactic Empire. You are not welcome here. HFY Sci-Fi, Story Part 7. The negotiation 3 months after Earth's counterstrike. The situation had changed dramatically. The Imperial blockade around Earth had withdrawn to the edge of the solar system. 6 more worlds had joined what was now called the Free Planets Alliance, inspired by Earth's unexpected resistance. The Empire, for the first time in centuries, found itself fighting a multi-front conflict against forces that seemed to grow more coordinated by the day. Emperor Dravkar, facing unprecedented challenges to Imperial authority, finally did the unthinkable. He called for negotiations. The humans have proven resilient, he told his High Council, choosing his words carefully. A temporary accommodation may be necessary to prevent further disruption. The neutral meeting location was a space station, orbiting a gas giant in a system unclaimed by either side. Eric Howard, Earth's newly appointed diplomatic representative, led a small delegation aboard the Defiance. His team included Laura Bennett, the xenopsychologist whose insights had proven so valuable, and 2 representatives from other Alliance worlds. "Remember our position," Eric told his team as they prepared to dock. "We're not seeking peace at any cost. We're establishing a new relationship on our terms." The Imperial delegation arrived in a massive command ship, its size an obvious attempt to intimidate. Ambassador Zixavora led the Imperial representatives, his manner far less confident than during his first visit to Earth. The negotiation chamber was circular, with both delegations seated at equal distances from the center. A neutral species, ancient and respected even by the Empire, provided translation services. The Empire recognizes Earth's unexpected capabilities, Zixavora began, the words clearly difficult for him. "We are prepared to offer special autonomous status within the Imperial structure." Eric Howard smiled politely. "Ambassador, perhaps you misunderstand our position. We are not seeking status within your empire. We are here to negotiate the Empire's recognition of the Free Planets Alliance as an independent entity." The Imperial delegation erupted in objections. One senior official stood, his forearms gesturing angrily. "Preposterous. The Empire does not recognize breakaway territories." Laura Bennett leaned forward. "Yet here you are, negotiating with exactly that. Your presence acknowledges our legitimacy, whether you admit it or not." As the negotiations continued over several days, Earth's position grew stronger. Kevin Phillips, Earth's intelligence director, had provided Eric with devastating information about Imperial corruption and internal conflicts. At key moments, Eric revealed knowledge of Imperial secrets that the ambassadors thought impossible for primitives to possess. "How could you know about the Ryland sector protests?" demanded Zixavora after one such revelation. Eric merely smiled. "The Empire has grown complacent, Ambassador. Information flows more freely than you realize. Behind the scenes, the Alliance's intelligence network, built from Earth's expertise in communication and encryption, continued to spread truth about the negotiations throughout Imperial territory. Citizens on hundreds of worlds were following the talks, many openly questioning Imperial propaganda for the first time. On the 5th day, Zixavora received new instructions directly from the Emperor. His demeanor changed noticeably as he returned to the negotiation table. The Empire proposes the following terms, he stated flatly. The systems currently aligned with Earth will be granted independent status. In exchange, there will be no further expansion of your alliance. Eric shook his head. Unacceptable. We cannot prevent other worlds from seeking freedom. However, we are prepared to offer something else, a blueprint for cooperation. He presented a document drafted by Earth's top minds in cooperation with their new allies. It outlined a new galactic structure where worlds could choose their level of engagement with the Empire, with guaranteed protections for planetary environments and indigenous cultures. This isn't just about freedom from the Empire, Eric explained. It's about creating something better for everyone, including Imperial citizens. The Imperial delegation was stunned by the proposal's sophistication and vision. It offered the Empire a path to reform itself while maintaining much of its influence. Your Emperor faces a choice, Laura Bennett added gently. Continue fighting, a war you cannot win, or help build a new galactic community where the Empire still has an important place, just not the only place. As the session ended, Zixvora requested a direct communication channel to the Imperial capital. For the first time, the Empire was considering compromise with a world it had once dismissed as primitive. Earth, the planet that had dared to say, "You are not welcome here," was reshaping the galaxy. Earth bans the Galactic Empire. You are not welcome here. HFY Sci-Fi Story Part 8, The New Frontier. 5 years after the historic negotiations, Earth had transformed from an isolated world to the diplomatic center of a growing interplanetary alliance. The gleaming spires of New Geneva, built with a combination of Earth and alien technologies, hosted representatives from over 50 worlds. Michelle Parker stood at the observation deck of the Alliance headquarters, watching ships from a dozen different species arriving for the 5th anniversary summit. As Director of Interspecies Relations, she had witnessed the remarkable evolution of humanity's place in the galaxy. It's still hard to believe sometimes, she said to Eric Howard, who now served as Alliance High Representative. Less than 6 years ago, we didn't even know aliens existed, Eric nodded, his eyes on a massive Imperial diplomatic vessel settling into its designated docking bay. And now we're reshaping galactic politics. The reformed Galactic Empire, while still powerful, had changed dramatically under pressure from its own citizens. Inspired by Earth's stand, populations throughout Imperial territory had demanded reforms. The new Emperor, Krellan, ironically the son of the disgraced Commander Krelthos, had embraced many of the changes, recognizing that adaptation was necessary for survival. The Imperial delegation is requesting to present their environmental restoration proposal first, Michelle noted, checking her tablet. They seem quite proud of it. The Empire's greatest transformation had been in its approach to planetary resources. Earth scientists had demonstrated how sustainable development could yield better long-term results than the Empire's previous strip mining approach. Imperial worlds that had suffered environmental devastation were now being restored using techniques pioneered on Earth. Dr. Gary Watson, formerly of Kate Nelson's environmental team, now led the largest restoration project in the galaxy, healing an imperial agricultural world that had been rendered nearly barren by generations of exploitation. The Empire built itself on taking, Gary explained to a group of students from both Earth and Imperial worlds. We're teaching them about renewal instead. Perhaps most surprising was the flow of Imperial scientists defecting to work with Earth-led research teams. The rigid hierarchy that had stifled innovation within the Empire couldn't compete with the collaborative approach humans had brought to interstellar science. Professor Varleth, once the Empire's leading xenobiologist and now a respected teacher at Earth's new interstellar university, summarized it simply. Humans ask why not, where Imperial science said, because it is done this way. This simple difference has unleashed creativity throughout the galaxy. In military matters, Earth had maintained its innovative edge. The defense system that had surprised the Empire during the first engagement had evolved into the backbone of a new approach to planetary security. Dozens of formerly vulnerable worlds now deployed variations of Earth's shield technology. "The greatest weapon humans brought to the stars wasn't technological," commented Admiral Jacques Vore, now a moderate voice in the reformed imperial military. "It was the idea that smaller powers could stand together against larger ones." Throughout the galaxy, Earth's declaration had become a rallying cry for planetary rights. The simple phrase, "You are not welcome here," appeared on protest signs and in governmental declarations whenever worlds faced unwanted external pressure. As the anniversary summit convened, representatives from Earth and former imperial worlds sat as equals for the first time in galactic history. The agenda focused not on past conflicts but on future cooperation, joint scientific missions, cultural exchanges, and coordinated environmental restoration. 50 years later, visitors to Earth could tour the Memorial Garden, where a single Imperial scout ship, the first alien vessel humans had ever captured, stood preserved as a reminder of humanity's introduction to the stars. Beside it, a simple plaque displayed Earth's declaration in 27 languages from across the galaxy. School children from a dozen worlds often gathered there, listening to guides explain how a single planet's refusal to be conquered had changed everything. The Empire believed they were bringing Earth into their story, the guides would explain. Instead, Earth brought a new story to the stars. In the vastness of space, countless civilizations now knew of the small blue world that had dared to stand up to an empire. The planet whose defiance had transformed the meaning of the word primitive forever. The world that had simply said, "You are not welcome here," and in doing so had created a more welcoming galaxy for everyone.